Welcome back to MMA Oddsbreaker. I'm Frank Trigg. This week we get to talk to one of my favorite guys, wrestlers, actually. Watching him run around and get his mask done. What's it like getting ready? What's the difference between getting ready for a wrestling match and getting ready for this? Like, what's the difference right now getting ready for a fight? You're fighting a Legacy, obviously, this weekend, but how is it a little bit different week of? Not necessarily the training portion, just the week of.
The week of I believe it's probably the same process but just different nerves. Because in MMA you can fight a random guy on the street. They can put him in the cage and he can randomly get lucky and and knock you out. That's the difference. In wrestling you get pinned, but in fighting mixed martial arts, man, you get knocked out or you get submitted, and it's almost embarrassing. It's something that could be it's something that can be like a recap for the rest of your life, knowing that you got knocked out, and you're eventually when you have kids,
Yeah.
they will know. So it's kind of like it's a little more nerve wracking. There's probably a little more pride in this game than there is in wrestling.
Have you had your coaches help you with that process of getting through that? Hey, if I get knocked out, or hey, if I get submitted, how to deal with it and how to get ready for that? Because it is a different kind of loss, going from getting pinned, hey, I got caught, to wow, I got submitted. Now what do I do?
Well, I hope I never get there. At this point, we're
Exactly.
5-0, but that's I guess we take it as it comes. But as of this point, now we're focused on our strengths and we're capitalizing our opponent's weaknesses. So I guess we tend to fight people accordingly. Very strategic, and I think that's the difference. I think I'm a fighter who meets the talent and I guess the brain side of it, the strategic side of it. I try to mix them together. I'm not just a guy that has talent, but I'm someone that actually studies and takes my time with this game, because it's serious business.
You're a wrestler, but you're a lot different wrestler than Sarah McMahon, who obviously is getting ready to fight Ronda Rousey here, end of next month. That's the biggest thing now. Is like Sarah's a very grinder, kind of hold you down, beat you up. She's got good power in her hands. She's a couple knockouts, but you've got 3 KOs out of your 5 wins. One submission, one decision. We all know that wrestlers can go the distance. It's just our mentality. How did you develop that strong handset, that strong mindset of getting out there and getting the knockouts that you've gotten? Ultimately, watching looks a little bit easy how you're getting the knockouts. Like, you're just so tenacious about it. These guys just fall down when you crack them.
Yeah, yeah, no, a lot of it's probably respect that they have of some sort for me. But the other thing is I got to give myself, my boxing trainers and my MMA trainers credit. They've taken their time with me and developed good. Being solid on my feet and able to plan and hit rather than being on my toes and hitting. So we've turned every stone over to the point where if we ever had to take the fight to the ground, we're going to dominate the ground. If we keep it on our feet, we're going to dominate on our feet. So so we're ready if that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
But I think my whole thing is not going in there and winning. It's having the mentality of total domination, making sure these guys remember you.
And let's not forget. I need to put a quick side note that the one submission you have is actually a guy tapping out because you're punching him too hard. So it wasn't you were still hitting him so hard. He's like, I got to get done. So it's one of those situations where you've got the strong wrestler hand, but you've got every wrestler comes out with these big brick hands, but you come out with an amazing amount of technique as you're punching, and you develop mental skills for the game where a lot of us had a hard time learning how to turn our shoulders, turn our hips. You don't have that same problem. They're a true testament, like you just said, to your boxing coaches. Like, they've really, really stepped your game up. Let's talk a quick minute about your opponent, Elias Garcia. He's 4-0, you're 5-0, but what does he bring that you haven't seen yet in any one of your other 5 opponents?
He's aggressive. I think the only thing he brings is just an undefeated record. My hat's tipped off to him. He's a fighter. He's want to get in there with me, and I take every fight like it's a world championship fight. All these guys are serious opponents for me. As much as he's nervous as much as I'm nervous for this fight, so is he. So it's we're someone. You find yourself in a common ground, I guess you could say. The difference is who prepared a little harder, who's a little more focused, and who has the best attitude going to the fight is the one that's going to come out victorious.
From watching you compete, I know that you never like to look ahead too far. You always take the task that's in front of you. But everybody knows that Legacy Fighting Championships now is that direct stepping stone to the UFC. You're 5-0. You're in a weight class that they need more bodies in the UFC. Is it add a little bit more pressure to you? I don't think it can, because you've been under high pressure situations before. To, hey, the big shows watching me, and the fact that Mick Maynard, the promoter, would go, UFC called, you out of your contract, go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's the least. If anything, I strive for pressure. Pressure, I embrace it. I'm never one of these guys that shies away from it. I believe I'm somebody special, and I believe that comes with the territory. So if anything, man, put me in. I've wrestled in the middle of Times Square. I've wrestled in Iran. I've wrestled in Cuba. I competed at the Olympic Games, the World Championships. I mean, you're talking about somebody that this isn't new to somebody. I am a veteran in some way.